This is the Meaning Business Podcast, your go-to source for business tips, advice, growth, and exit strategies, hosted by Bruce Coudray and Peter Spinder. Each episode, we bring you real stories, expert insights, and practical advice to help you succeed in today's market. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Meaning Business, the podcast for people looking to buy, sell, or grow their business. I'm Bruce Coudray, and with us today is Peter Spinder.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for having me as always.
Always. Thank you. I'm always having you. So, Pete, recently you bought a house.
Yes,
in
about 10 months ago.
Brisbane. Yeah, that's fairly recent.
Yeah.
And when you bought the house, did you have a pest and building inspection done?
I did. And what was interesting was that with every purchase that we've made so far, there's always been a building and pest inspection report that came with the actual, IM information, memorandum information that the agent sends us.
They've already done it.
They've already done it.
Right.
But you know what we've always done? And this is actually advice that I got from a friend of mine who's a property investor. He says, Peter, always do your own diligence, due diligence on the property purchase.
Yes.
So we've always gotten our own building and pest, and we did that in this instance as well.
And did it come up with anything different to the original one?
Not on this property. In the previous property, yes, it did.
Yeah.
And it actually allowed us to understand what we needed to fix, but it also reduced the price.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So you wouldn't buy a house without a pest and building inspection?
No. Not
I mean,
at all.
if you did, you'd have to be...
I mean, you can
a
if you
risk
want,
taker
but
or
you'd have to
crazy.
be a risk taker.
Yeah. So it's the same with business, right?
Yep.
You just can't buy a business. You can't expect someone to buy a business without doing due diligence. Due diligence on a business.
There's too many moving pieces, too many factors. And similar to house, like if you think about a house, right? On the surface, you look at the house and it looks fantastic. But how do you know what's behind the walls? How do you know what's underneath the concrete? How do you know what's in the roof cavity?
Yeah.
Similar thing in a business. I mean, on the surface, it can look really, really good. You can have a beautiful set of P&Ls, profit and loss statements produced by the accountant. But how do you know that those figures are correct? How do you know around the staff, marketing, et cetera, et cetera?
Exactly. There's a lot to find out. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
Due diligence and why it's so important and such a critical thing.
Absolutely. And it may sound like a boring topic, but it is not. And for any business owners out there, honestly, this is one of those topics that not only can make or break a sale, but it's a topic that if you know what to do with it, it can actually make you a lot of money.
Exactly right.
Lots of money.
Exactly right. So let's talk about it.
Yep.
Let's start off, I suppose, by stating something which is pretty obvious, which is every business is going to have to go through DD.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't sell a business in this period of time, in these days, without due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
When I started selling businesses, this is how old I am, in 95, there was no due diligence. There was no information memorandum, no confidentiality provisions, no... It was just basically, here's the numbers. Yes, that looks good. Shake hands, negotiate on the price, pay a deposit and settle. Also, there were very few businesses being sold for under $1 million in those days.
Yeah.
Now it's extremely normal.
Yeah.
It's the norm. So things have changed.
Yep.
And DD is really a big part of business sales. And I think it's going to become a more significant component.
Absolutely. And the thing that I think we should also just sort of clarify, when we're talking about DD for business sales, it isn't just when you're going through the standard, typical sort of transactional process. It's also if you've got a succession, let's say you're a mum, you're a dad, you built your business up, you want to bring your kids into the business. It's time to release some of your shares, pass some of your shares to them. It might be that you want to bring a manager on board. Even through that process, you've got to go through due diligence because that individual will want to know what they're getting into. You want to know, okay, well, what's a fair share price, for example?
Yeah.
So DD is part of business life in general.
Exactly. If you're giving an employee a stakeholding in the business, same sort of thing, I think. So it's inevitable, it's universal, it's not going to go away, and it's but a lot of business owners are really scared from it. They're really, I don't want DD, I don't want to look around in my
Well, it sounds
private
complicated.
information.
It
does
due
sound
diligence
yeah.
on the surface sounds just, it's like, okay, well, what is it? There's
Yes.
misunderstanding and people
It
think
sounds
it's
very serious.
Yeah, and it is to an
serious,
extent, but
isn't it?
it's a process just like many other things in business.
Yeah. And so, and for that reason, sellers get nervous about it, and understandably, because you are exposing everything in your business to some person you don't know. It's literally like standing in the middle of the street naked, and
Yep.
people, or the mall or whatever, and people coming along to have a look.
Yep.
Uh,
It kind of okay. This is gonna be but whatever it is, but it kind of reminds me back when early teens, and you go for the medical exams as a boy,
yes.
and you get a cough, don't you? And then you got the cupping.
What's that all about?
But it's a similar sort of thing where you know, it's due diligence in the sense that you're trying to understand the realities and pick up on things before they become a problem.
That's right.
And due diligence is really about being completely transparent. That's the best form of due diligence, is having nothing in the book.
Exactly. And it is like being completely naked, and it is embarrassing.
It can feel intrusive.
Yeah, unless you prepare. So I think this is the first takeaway that I really would like people to. Second, first one is it's inevitable.
Yep.
It's always going to happen.
Yep.
And in a minute we'll talk about how much it costs. The second thing is, if you prepare for DD, if you're prepared at any point in time for due diligence, that means your accounts are up to date. The processes and systems that you have to run your business are all laid out and clear. The marketing and all those sorts of things are done in such a way that anyone can understand how it works. If you've got all those things ready, your business is going to be better.
Absolutely.
And you're going to make it easy to sell. If you don't have your accounts up to date, all those other things that a buyer's going to want to investigate in DD, then you're going to spend a lot of money getting it up to date. It's going to take time. You might miss the market. You might miss the opportunity that exists right now by taking too long. So there's a massive upside in preparation.
A huge upside. So last night we actually started watching Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares with the kids.
Yep.
And yeah, it's full of swearing, but look, it's Gordon Ramsay, and there's a lot of lessons
Great
you can
team.
learn from it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the episode starts, Italian restaurant, and Gordon goes into the kitchen, and it is just disgusting. It's a complete mess. And as a result, the front of house is a complete mess as well. And the food is poor quality, and you know, customers aren't happy. So Gordon goes in, does his lot of swearing and changes and things like that. They do the cleanup. And he comes back, like, I don't know, 2 months after, he visits, and the kitchen is still clean. And as a result of just that act of cleaning the kitchen, the whole process is then cleaned up, and the business has become more profitable.
Yeah.
And so the owner's now starting to make money in that particular restaurant.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I mentioned that is because due diligence isn't actually a point in time where you stop and just make all these changes all of a sudden because you're selling. It shouldn't be like that. It should actually be a continuous process you work towards.
Conscious, yeah.
And if you're consciously working towards operational efficiencies and improvements and whatever else it might be, when it comes time to sell your business, you're already
That's right.
well along the way with due diligence.
That's right. And it's sort of, my analogy is, it's like you're now fit and healthy. So when you are standing in the mall and everyone's looking at you, you're not so embarrassed because you can sort of say, okay, I'm ready, you know?
Absolutely.
I'm
mean,
proud of this.
how many times, you know, you've seen, let's say you see Usain Bolt run 100 meters, right? And he's there at the Olympics and he's getting ready to run. At that moment, the race has already been won. And the race is won because of the training lead up to it, the prep leading up to it. Now, imagine if Usain Bolt decided, okay, he hasn't trained, and in 6 months' time, we've got the Olympics coming up, or 3 months' time, that's when I'm going to start training.
Yeah.
Chances are you're going to win, you're going to lose.
Yeah,
You've left it too late.
And you're going to have doubt in your mind as well.
You will.
On the other hand, Usain Bolt standing at the starters blocks ready to go, or Noah Lyles, those guys.
Yep.
I mean, they look magnificent, right? And they know it. And they feel incredible, and they know it.
And who else has the confidence at that point in time that they're going to win? The spectators.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's the other part of the due diligence, is that due diligence gives you, the business owner, confidence of what you're doing and that you've got a good business that is a sellable asset.
That's right.
And it gives the buyers the confidence that the business they're actually buying, or the business that they're reading up on, the IM, the information that they're considering investing in, is actually the right business.
Exactly right.
Confidence.
So, and they know it. They know, the runner knows, I've done the work, I'm in perfect physical condition.
Yep.
On the other hand, if someone's faking it, if they've, Botoxed or, done other things to fake that fitness, they know it.
Well, the
audience knows it. And
they do.
Ultimately, they'll get found out.
So talking about the audience knowing, so Gordon sits down at the Italian restaurant, orders his first few meals, never been there before. And out comes ravioli and minestrone soup. And here's the thing with the audience knowing, right? Gordon tastes, and you could see it straight up looking at the food that it didn't come out of the kitchen, that it came out of a packet. He tastes the food. He instantly knew the ravioli was packet ravioli that was heated in the microwave. Minestrone soup came out of a packet heated in the microwave. So you can try and put the blanket over it and make it all look pretty and fancy. But when you taste it, the palate all instantly knows. And that's the same thing with due diligence, where you can make a business look, the shiny. But at the end of the day, the polish is one thing. But as soon as you open the door to the car, you see the interior, you go for a drive, instantly it's got mechanical problems.
That's right. The truth always comes out.
That's right.
You can't wallpaper over the cracks. In a business, we might think, I can move this revenue around, or I can fake the closing
We see
stock.
that all the time.
I can pay cash to the staff, but whatever thing you're doing to make the business look better, it's going to get found out, or it's false economy anyway.
Absolutely.
So, we're better to pay the tax, have great set of accounts, get some advice. It might be about taking on marketing or changing our HR, but you get good people on board, you get the thing ready, you'll be like Usain Bolt. You're standing at that starting line going, I'm ready.
100%.
And
Now,
we need that. Can I just say something else?
yeah.
Sorry, Pete.
No, go for it.
So my third point is what's included.
I was going to ask you that.
Okay.
So what's included?
Yeah, a lot of people say, sellers, business owners, what's included in due diligence? Because in the old days when it started to become a thing, it was actually called, and it still is in the standard conditions of a business sale contract in Queensland, checker books and records. So a lot of owners thought and think that the buyer will check my books and records, and that's due diligence. But it really isn't. It's everything. It's checking staff rosters, marketing, leases, employment agreements, everything that they can find out about that business. Competitors, are the competitors coming, going, how do you compare with the competitors? A buyer conducting due diligence should be enabled to check everything.
Absolutely. And it's especially important. I mean, it's important in any size business, but it's particularly important when we're talking about, $1 million plus value businesses. And the reason I say that is because typically they tend to be more complicated. They might have a divisional structure. They might have multi-locations.
Exactly. Might have several entities.
Absolutely. And so if you think about it from that perspective, your prospective buyer, the investor, they will want to know, okay, well, when are the leases ending? Okay, so you've got a general manager in place. Great, that's a good thing. But then the next question is, how loyal are they? How happy are they? How sticky are they? What about the other employees, the other team members? What are the structures? Your customers? Do you have contracts in place, or do you have 5 key customers, but it's a handshake arrangement?
Yeah.
And so what's the guarantee then that when you leave your business, those customers are actually going to be sticky and they're stay with me? And so what does that look like? What's the handover period? So there's a lot of factors. What would you say, or is there 1 or 2 factors that you think are the dominant key factors from a DD perspective?
Yeah.
Does it depend on the industry and the business?
No. I mean, yeah, definitely each industry is very unique. So, in childcare, you could have 2 childcare centres, both showing the same amount of profit, both 75 place centres, let's say.
Yep.
So they look like the same value.
Yep.
But when undergoing DD, in that sector, what people will look at is how much per day, per child are they getting, and what occupancy rate are they running at. So if you've got one at 95% and one at 75%, it's both the same profit, and they're different daily rates per child, then one might be more valuable because it has more opportunity than the other, or the one that's doing the best might be more valuable because it's running efficiently. So each industry will have many things that a buyer will look for. So preparing those nuances will make a big difference. And that's why an industry expert as a broker is going to be so helpful, because quite often lawyers and accountants don't understand those nuances that relate specifically to unique industries, but the broker can. And they'll know what the buyer's looking for. And we can enhance and prepare the business for sale. Which takes me to the 4th thing, which is, you mentioned before, buying a house, getting a pest and building inspection done, find something wrong. So what happens to the price?
Well, the price went down in this case.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got someone doing DD on a business and they find something wrong, you're giving them the opportunity to chip away at getting a better price and reducing the sale price.
Absolutely. And that chipping away, and when we use the word chip, I think there's a misnomer there that chip means a small amount. It can be a big, substantial amount of money.
Well, not only that, but it's the start, because if I'm at the moment, we're on equal footing, but if I start losing momentum and as the seller moving backwards and the buyer starts gaining momentum and posture moving forwards, all of a sudden they find another thing and another thing. And by the way, I'm out.
Yeah.
If you don't do this by 7 o'clock tomorrow, I'm out.
Put the pressure on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to save posture. And the best way to do that is to have everything right and don't allow any opportunities for them to pull you in. Or, and this is a very important one, there can be businesses where you might have a contract coming, or you've just done a big contract and that's finished. And so your revenue will drop off again, and your profit may or may not be affected because it might have been high volume, low margin, But preparation for that DD negotiation is another thing that we need to do. So we've got the DD ready, we've got all the accounts ready and everything else, all the information. We're ready to show the buyer everything once they qualify themselves and we agree on price and terms and conditions, all those things. That's important to mention, actually. You really shouldn't let someone go through DD until we've got a fundamental agreement in principle.
Well, I think something to understand about the DD process is that it's not a unilateral path. So it's not, the buyer coming to you and then everything in the buyer's way. Just as much as the buyer's assessing you, you need to be assessing the buyer, because
Exactly right.
you need to make sure that you're not wasting 3 months, 6 months talking to the wrong person because for whatever reason, they might not have the funding, or they're not serious, or there's a lot of those factors. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Can I take a tangent here?
Of course you can.
So it's really important that a good broker knows to how to liaise with the advisors, the accountant, the lawyer, and the seller when putting a HOA, heads of agreement, or term sheet together to enable the buyer to do due diligence. Because we've got to decide at that point, are we going to give this buyer exclusivity, or are we going to have a non-binding agreement, or are we going to have the opportunity for that buyer to do their DD and other buyers to do the DD as well?
So what you're saying, just sort of in sort of layman's terms, is that I'm selling my business, you've come forward and you show interest. And so the question is, do we pause selling the business to others or showing it while you're looking at it? And if we do, how long that goes for? Or do we have a situation where we continue selling it, but we obviously disclose to other people that, look, we're going through a due diligence process with another party at the moment? Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly right. So, and that takes us a step back about the preparation and planning, where really a great broker will sit down with the client and the advisors and assess create a sale plan, which includes the due diligence plan. And before we get to the DD plan, we have to think to ourselves, how are we going to sell this? Is it going to be a share sale or an asset sale? Are we going to offer an earn-out retention, vendor finance, or is it just going to be a straight cash purchase? Sometimes the other provisions, earn-out retention, enable you to get a lot more money. So we need to look at that with the help of the advisors. How are we going to structure that transaction? How are we going to deal with employee entitlements, Division 7A loans, all the other things that we need to do. And in many cases, in preparing the business for DD and for sale, we might have 4 or 5 entities. It might be better to sell everything in those entities into one new company, and we sell the shares in that new company to the buyer. That may not be the best way to go. But if you're buying a new company from me and it's acquired its assets from 4 other companies, you're going to do your DD on that company and the previous 4. So we have to have that all ready.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting process. So about a month ago, we were working with a client on appraisal and sale ready preparation. And we actually worked out really quickly that in the one business, he actually has 2 separate businesses, the one that I'm talking about. And when we went back with the appraised value, we ended up giving, I think, 5 or 6 different options from a structure, a sale point of view. But what was really interesting is that there was a difference of something like $800,000 between the lowest figure and the top figure. And the main thing that it depended on was whether or not there was a manager in place. Because if there was a manager in place, it's a managed business, so therefore it was an investment, and there was a higher multiple versus the other way. So that was really interesting. Now, I just wanted to ask you 2 quick questions before we move on, if you don't mind. You mentioned the word opportunity before. So what does a buyer buy? Are they buying the current state, or are they buying the future opportunity, or is it a combination of both?
I think all buyers
What gets them excited most?
All buyers are different. So I can answer this, but it's a complicated answer. But let me put you in a situation, Pete. There's 2 businesses. same sector,
Like
exactly.
the childcare example.
Let's say the childcare.
Yep.
This one's got room for improvement,
Mhm.
not performing very well. This one's performing very well.
Mhm.
The high performer, it's $3 million.
Mhm.
The low performer, $2.2 million. Let's say $2 million. Which one would you buy?
Really interesting question, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because I can easily go both ways. You can easily go, okay, well, I'm going to buy the one that I can improve, and I want to
Opportunity,
spend some
potential.
time on it, and that's the opportunity.
That's right.
The other direction that you go, well, that's easy. It's an easy acquisition. I know how it operates, and I'm confident that it can continue in that way.
Yeah.
And I guess it goes back to maybe the answer is it depends on which investor hat
It
you
totally
have
does.
and what
And
sort of
by the way, there's a third part
mindset that you have.
person. So you got the one that says, I like the opportunity.
Yep.
I'm an entrepreneur. I want to pick it up.
Yep.
You got the conservative who's just buying it for the return.
Yep.
And the third one is you've got a strategic buyer
Mhm.
who has also got other businesses and who can consolidate the overheads and
Exactly.
absorb that in. So as a seller, you got to prepare for either of those and prepare your DD. But
So
so
that
aim
means-
to get the strategic buyer as your buyer.
Absolutely. So that means from a DD point of view, we've got to be preparing for today and showing the current state, but then we also need to show where the opportunity lies. And that sort of goes into the second point that I made, is that the reality is that most businesses have something in the closet, skeletons, their lives. Most of them have issues.
Perfect. Exactly.
And
right.
when we go to sell, it'd be very rare to have a perfect business for sell.
Doesn't happen.
So I guess the question that I was going to ask is it okay to have issues in the business that aren't fixed as long as we highlight them in DD and potentially showcase them as an opportunity? Is that sort of what?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is the new world. So in the past, it was human nature to try and not talk about the problem, That's not the way anymore. It's going to come out anyway.
Yep.
Let's address it. And in fact, by being completely transparent and honest and open, the buyer gets the full picture. Everyone knows nothing's perfect. And if they don't find something wrong, they just got to keep digging.
Many years ago, bought a secondhand car. And looking around, and there was a beautiful little Mazda 3. We just wanted a little run around car. And I found this beautiful red Mazda 3, that red Mazda red.
Mazda
It's
red is
gorgeous
amazing.
color.
Yeah.
Love it. But it was so cheap. I couldn't understand why. So anyway, I called the person. They said, yeah, just come around, have a look at the car. So I went out, older gentleman, had a look at the car with Dad. And it was in beautiful condition, such a beautiful drive. And when we sat down around the dining table, I said to him, listen, why is your price about $10,000 cheaper than every other Mazda out there on the market? He's like, all right, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to show you something. So he showed me that Mazda had been in a side collision, where the left-hand door was completely crumpled in, no other damage or anything like that. And it all got fixed. And he's got certificates, he's got the roadway, everything, all the tick, tick, tick. And he said, because it was in a collision, and because he is very transparent, it's been on the market for about 6 months and he couldn't sell it because no one was willing to buy it when they saw those pictures. And Dad and I went off and had a quick conversation outside, and we went back and I said to him, you know what? Didn't affect the motor, didn't affect anything other than the door, and it was fixed. Happy days, we shook hands and we bought the car. We kept that car for about 3 years, zero problems. It was a beautiful car. When we went to sell it, I actually sold it for exactly the same price that I bought it for, even though I was transparent as well. Exactly the same price. Lost nothing on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the message in there, that as long as we're transparent, most people will understand. And in the world of business, the entrepreneur typically sees an issue as an opportunity. Typically.
Exactly. Not all buyers are entrepreneurs.
No, they're
An
not.
entrepreneur will. Similarly, if we identify with a business that there is a problem and we think that the problem will rectify itself in the near or distant future, then probably the way to get the business sold and to get the best value and the best outcome for everybody is to do something like this, to say an earnout. So say, here's the figures and and you propose it at the start. So we want $3 million for this business, but we know there's these issues and it's really worth $2 million today. So we'll sell it to you for $2 million. And if in the next year these certain things happen, you'll pay us more. And
it's almost like a KPI type of a thing. If we meet these, then you get a bonus.
that's right. Have to be kept simple, but that's a really good way for have a win-win.
Yep. So what is the due diligence process from a seller preparation point of view? So if I'm thinking,
Yeah.
all right, I might sell my business in the next few years, when should I start thinking about it, and what is that process?
Yeah, should always be thinking about it. Should always have everything ready. So I suppose it's a pretty comprehensive checklist. I probably couldn't go through it all right now. But it's really just to have your accounts up to date, pay your tax, make sure your closing stock and opening stock are correct, your employee entitlements are recorded on the balance sheet. So I'm already getting into a long list.
So it's all the financial stuff?
Yeah. And just in terms of, because if you get your business prepared for DD, if you really think about it, what you're doing is, it's really like advisory.
Yeah.
You're doing a comprehensive analysis of the business, and you're finding out where you can improve things.
Yep.
And well, if we know there's an issue with our HR, for example, why don't we fix it now?
Yeah.
Make the business more valuable. So it really is just a simple case of getting everything ready for a buyer, having everything ready, acknowledging if there's issues and getting those fixed now, or putting a mechanism in place that enables us to fix it, to address that when the buyer comes along.
So does due diligence make the sale process quicker and easier?
No. Well, it can. So DD is a real thing, and it's taking longer these days. But if you have your business prepared for DD, you can do it very quickly. The other thing about DD is that it's become a bit of an opportunity for advisors to make money. Now, they definitely deserve to get paid for doing their work. Don't get me wrong. But if we make it a complicated process by not having everything ready, then somebody's going to pay more for it, usually both the buyer and the seller.
Yep.
So I saw a situation recently where a business was selling for $6 million. There was some ambiguity over the work in progress. The seller spent $40,000 on DD, the buyer spent $40,000 on DD, and the deal didn't go ahead. So the preparation could have resolved that. And that's why we're so big on it. So, it's inevitable. You're going to have to expose everything. If the buyer finds issues that you've tried to cover up, they're going to chip you on the price. So you might as well get ready for that. But if you prepare and you have everything ready, you're going to shorten the DD period. You're going to pay less money to your accountant in the DD, and the buyer's going to pay less. It's going to expedite the whole process. And you're going to get a sale.
Absolutely. And I think the other component to all of this is that regardless of who's conducting the DD, we're human beings, which means that we want psychological safety. So if you're prepared and they see that, okay, they've requested certain information from you, you can deliver it really quickly because you're prepared. It gives them that psychological safety, and it gives them that reassurance.
Yeah.
And that whole buyer's remorse, it does come into business sales as well. And people do pull that, cold feet, something in the gut. That's that buyer's remorse.
That's right.
So let's eliminate that by preparing.
Yeah, if a buyer's got a slightly bad feeling about something, and you take a long time to address that issue, that nervousness, that gut feel it gets much bigger. If you address it instantly, it goes away.
Absolutely.
Quell it. And it's like a tennis game, by the way. So here's how it works. The buyer inquires, you give them a CA. They fill the CA.
What's a CA?
Confidentiality agreement or NDA. They give you that. Then you usually provide them with the information memorandum. Then they'll come back with questions. Then you want to negotiate the price. Then price negotiator, get a term sheet, heads of agreement. Now we do the DD. And during the DD, they'll ask this question, you've got to answer it. This question, you've got to answer it. That question, you've got to answer it. And if you take too long in answering that question, you're going to hit it out and lose the game.
It's really interesting. So one of the things that we do with our new clients is we ask specific types of questions, first of all, to get the information. But the other reason we ask certain questions is to see how quickly the client actually responds, because that tells us where they're situated from an operations point of view, from readiness perspective.
Are they on top of things?
Are they on top of things? And the other thing that we do is that we put all of our clients through, we've got an AR tool we've named Trinity, which is a sale-ready diagnostic.
Yeah, really is.
And regardless of whether you've come to us because you're thinking of selling your business in 12 months or because you want to build it for the next few years, it's the same thing. And we always say to our clients, the reason we put you through a sale-ready diagnostic is because at any point in time, you want to have your business ready for sale.
Exactly right.
And that means it's ready for due diligence. That means you've got clean books. It's operating as effectively, efficiently as possible with as little owner involvement as possible.
Exactly. So it's like the old Boy Scout thing, be prepared.
Yep.
Due diligence is all about being ready. Yeah.
Yep. Now, I noticed the hand waving there. So
I had to wake Will up.
Will, we finish it.
Well,
But look, it is a really important topic.
Compulsory, really. If you own a business, you've got to address it.
Absolutely. So one thing that I'd recommend to anyone listening to this, you're in business, you want to know more about due diligence. If you really want to understand the nitty gritty of where to go and what to do, reach out to our team. Good business brokers really understand that process. Our business advisors understand that process.
Yep.
We've got some documents that we can share around with this.
Yep.
Be familiar and really don't leave it too late. Start today. Start thinking about due diligence today, because preparation is key. Preparation equals success.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, I just add something about benchmark. People might not know this, so I'll just add this in. We're a national company with local expertise and local knowledge and national coverage. So we've got 6 offices in 5 states. We've got 60 business brokers around Australia. So if any of those guys are competent at talking to you about these sorts of issues, and you may not be thinking about selling, you might need to improve your business. So the advisory arm, again, national, local knowledge, local expertise, national coverage, get onto us, and I'm sure we'd love to help you guys. And just on that, we do have limited capacity. We don't have unlimited capacity to deal with people. So if you're getting quickly, we can help you right now.